Good afternoon. In a world where the race for autonomous vehicles has seen both spectacular promises and sobering setbacks, a new chapter is being written with a staggering $8.6 billion valuation. I'm your host, and today we're diving deep into the massive $1.2 billion funding round for British self-driving startup Wayve, backed by tech titans Nvidia and Microsoft. This isn't just another tech story, it's a potential inflection point for an entire industry. We'll explore what this means for the future of transportation, the strategic plays of the world's most powerful tech companies, and whether this investment signals a breakthrough or another expensive gamble. We'll also touch on a concerning story from South Africa involving the son of a late African leader. Let's get into it. First, let's understand the sheer scale of this deal. Wayve, a London-based company founded in 2017, has just closed a Series D funding round worth $1.2 billion. This injection of capital has propelled its valuation to a monumental $8.6 billion. To put that in perspective, that's more than the market cap of some established, publicly traded automotive suppliers. The round was led by venture capital firms Eclipse and Balderton, with significant participation from SoftBank Vision Fund 2. But the headline grabbers are the strategic corporate investors, Nvidia, Microsoft, and even ride-hailing giant Uber. This consortium represents a powerful vote of confidence in Wayve's specific approach to autonomy, which we'll unpack shortly. This funding arrives at a critical juncture. For over a decade, the autonomous vehicle sector has been a tale of two narratives. On one hand, visionary promises from companies like Tesla, Waymo, and Cruise suggested a driverless future was just around the corner. We were told that by 2020 or 2025, our cars would chauffeur us effortlessly. On the other hand, the reality has been one of immense technical complexity, tragic accidents, regulatory pushback, and massive cash burn without clear profitability. Just last year, Cruise, GM's self-driving unit, faced a major crisis after an incident led to the suspension of its permits. Against this backdrop of cautious pessimism, a $1.2 billion check is a thunderous statement. So, what makes Wayve different? The key lies in its technological philosophy. Most legacy autonomous systems rely on a rules-based approach. Engineers program the car with millions of lines of code to handle specific scenarios: a red light, a pedestrian crossing, a merging lane. Wayve champions an end-to-end AI model. Instead of explicit programming, they use a form of artificial intelligence called embodied AI. They feed vast amounts of driving video data into a neural network, powered by the kind of advanced chips Nvidia makes. And the AI learns to drive by predicting what a skilled human driver would do. It's less about following a rulebook and more about developing intuition. Proponents argue this is the only way to handle the infinite variability of real-world driving. Let's look at the investors and their strategic angles. First, Nvidia. The American chip maker, now a $2 trillion company, is far more than a gaming GPU vendor. Its hardware is the engine of the AI revolution. CEO Jensen Huang has positioned Nvidia as the foundational pick and shovel provider for AI by investing in Wayve. Nvidia isn't just betting on a company, it's validating a core use case for its technology. Every advanced autonomous vehicle system will require immense processing power, and Nvidia's Drive platform aims to be the standard. This investment secures a flagship partner and drives demand for its most advanced semiconductors. Next, Microsoft. The software giant's involvement is multifaceted. There's the obvious cloud computing angle. Training AI models of this scale requires colossal amounts of compute power, almost certainly hosted on Microsoft's Azure cloud. This deal likely includes a significant cloud credits commitment, locking in a major customer. But more strategically, Microsoft is weaving AI into every layer of its enterprise and consumer products. Understanding and mastering cutting-edge AI applications like autonomous driving informs its broader AI strategy across Bing, Copilot, and beyond. It's a research and development investment as much as a financial one. Then there's Uber. The ride-hailing pioneer has a fraught history with self-driving tech, having sold its own ATG unit to Aurora in 2020 after a fatal accident and high costs. Its investment in Wayve is a pragmatic pivot. Instead of bearing the astronomical cost and risk of developing its own system, Uber can partner with a potential leader. The dream is clear: a future fleet of autonomous vehicles that could drastically reduce the cost of providing rides, transforming Uber's business model from a network of human drivers to a manager of automated fleets. For Wayve, Uber provides a clear path to deployment and real-world data from millions of trips. But let's pause for a critical perspective. Skeptics will rightly ask, haven't we heard this before? $1.2 billion is an enormous sum, but it's a drop in the bucket compared to the estimated hundreds of billions already spent industry-wide. The technical hurdles remain daunting. AI models can be black boxes, making it difficult for regulators to certify their safety. They can also be fooled by unusual scenarios or adversarial attacks. Furthermore, the regulatory environment globally is a patchwork. What's legal to test in Arizona may be forbidden in Berlin. The economic model is also unproven. The sensor suite for a truly driverless car can still cost more than the vehicle itself. To debate this, let's consider two viewpoints. The Optimist case: this investment is different because the underlying technology has matured. The AI breakthroughs seen in large language models like ChatGPT over the past 3 years are now being applied to robotics and physical systems. The convergence of better algorithms, more powerful chips from Nvidia, and vast cloud compute from Microsoft creates a perfect storm. Wayve's approach is the scalable one. They aren't trying to code for every eventuality, they're building a general driving intelligence. The $8.6 billion valuation reflects the potential for this technology to be licensed to every major automaker, not just to build its own cars. The Pessimist's case: this is peak hype. The valuation is based on potential, not commercial reality. The sector is littered with carcasses of overfunded startups that promised revolution. The fundamental challenge isn't just perception, it's the endless edge cases: a plastic bag floating across the road, a child's ball rolling into the street, construction signage that contradicts map data. Human drivers handle these with contextual understanding that AI still lacks. Furthermore, the liability question is a legal minefield. When a car with no steering wheel crashes, who is responsible? The AI software maker, the chip provider, the car manufacturer, or the fleet owner? Until these issues are resolved, mass deployment is a fantasy. Financially, let's break down the numbers. The $1.2 billion round is one of the largest single raises in European tech history. It brings Wayve's total funding to over $1.5 billion. Previous investors include Virgin, founded by Richard Branson, who led a $300 million round just a few years ago. To contextualize, Cruise has burned through nearly $30 billion. Waymo, Alphabet's unit, has spent well over $20 billion. So while $1.5 billion is vast, it's a fraction of what the giants have consumed. The question is whether Wayve's capital efficient, AI-first approach can achieve more with less. Their $8.6 billion unicorn status makes them a dominant force in Europe and a serious global contender. Beyond the technology, this deal has significant geopolitical and industrial implications. Europe has often been seen as lagging in the platform tech race dominated by the US and China. Wayve, as a European champion in a deep tech field, is a point of pride. The UK government, which has supported Wayve through grants, will see this as a validation of its AI strategy. For the global auto industry, it presents a choice: continue spending billions on in-house development of traditional systems, or license an AI-native platform from a startup like Wayve. This investment forces every CEO in Detroit, Stuttgart, and Tokyo to reevaluate their roadmaps. Now, shifting continents for a moment, to a story that underscores the complex legacies of leadership in Africa. In Johannesburg, South Africa, Bellarmine Chadunga Mugabe, the 28-year-old son of the late Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe, has been charged with attempted murder. The incident allegedly occurred on February 19th, when a 23-year-old man was shot in the back in an upmarket suburb. Mugabe, known for a lavish lifestyle documented on social media, appeared in court alongside a co-accused. He also faces charges of theft and being an illegal immigrant in South Africa. This case brings the Mugabe name back into headlines, not for politics but for alleged violent crime, highlighting issues of privilege, accountability, and cross-border movement in southern Africa. Returning to our main story, what's the path forward for Wayve? The new capital will be used for massive expansion. They'll hire hundreds of the world's top AI researchers and engineers, a costly endeavor in a fiercely competitive talent market. They'll scale up their data collection and model training, a process that consumes millions of dollars in cloud computing fees daily. And they'll work towards commercial pilots and partnerships. The goal isn't necessarily a Wayve-branded car, but to have its AI brain inside vehicles from multiple manufacturers, starting perhaps with last-mile delivery vans before moving to passenger cars. In conclusion, the Nvidia and Microsoft-backed funding of Wayve is a landmark event. It signals that despite the setbacks, the belief in a self-driving future is not only alive but attracting smarter, more strategic capital. It represents a bet on a new technological paradigm, embodied AI over the old rules-based one. The $8.6 billion valuation is a high-stakes wager that this London-based startup has cracked the code that eluded giants with 10 times its resources. The road ahead remains long and fraught with challenges, both technical and societal. But one thing is clear, the race is far from over, and with the backing of the world's leading AI and cloud companies, Wayve has just been given a massive turbo boost. The next 5 years will determine whether this was a visionary investment or the last great hype cycle of the autonomous vehicle dream. For Kenya News Update today, I'm your host. Remember to think critically about the technologies shaping our future. Subscribe to Kenya News Update today for more deep dive analysis of the stories that matter.